All right, so now Matt has been unable to find G-share. We'll talk about performance issues. Execution time is number of instructions times CPI times cycle count. Anyone missing that? Or number of instructions, how long your program is. How many cycles it takes on average to execute each instruction, and then you multiply it by how long each cycle is.
Okay.
Multi-cycle decreases cycle time but increases CPI. Pipeline takes multi-cycle and decreases CPI, hopefully down to 1 if no stalls, and you've been able to fix all your stalling or your hazards. So pipelining is a significant performance improvement and is still done very often. That's usually the default. How do you fix a performance problem? Let's just start pipelining it. Calculating performance with no stalls. So how long would this take if there were no stalls? How many cycles?
Oh,
It takes 5 to get to the first one, then 6 to retire the second, and at the 7 retires the last one. So that's 7. What value is written to the ALU result field of the MEM writeback's pipeline register at the end of cycle 5? I'm asking you this because you're going to see it on exam. So at the end of cycle 5, what's being written? The add. Right. Result. Whoa.
Whoa.
I lied.
JK.
Haha. Right.
Oh, it's written.
Oh,
It's written
To the
To the
ALU
result
results,
field.
Yes.
so it's not quite.
Yeah. So that's the
It's
NAND.
one before the.
Yep. It's the NAND.
JK.
All right, calculating performance with data hazards, detect and stall. So assuming a detect and stall situation, how many how many cycles does this take?
10? No, 9.
15.
you're gonna add. How
Do I
many
hear
no-ops?
16? 16, anyone 16?
Hold on.
How many
No,
no-ops
it's
do you
like
No apps.
11 or something. It's because there's. Oh,
Yeah.
JK.
How many hazards are in the code?
3, 3, 3.
You got right there, and then yeah, you got another
Oh.
right here
yeah,
and
the
right
3
here.
goes to the next one too.
Yep, you got a lot of hazards. But how many stalls are used if we do detect and stall? 4, because you got to wait 2 here and then another 2 right here. So 7 plus 4 is, well,
So is that so when we do that now? Since there's 4, if this is 4.
so
is
1,
it
2, 3,
because
4,
once we
5,
cleared the first
6,
2
7,
hazards, the
8,
third is not a hazard.
19, 11. Well, what's
I
that?
mean, basically, once we cleared the first 2 hazards, the third is not a hazard. That's by 4, because you said we got.
Yeah, but you still have this hazard right here. While you clear the hazard between these 2, this hazard still exists between the 2 5s.
So, but each each stall is it
So
2
be-
stalls per, or I mean,
Yeah, it's 2 stalls. 2 stalls.
So okay.
So you're stalling between the 30. So you're
Stall
stalling between the
between
first
these.
and a
And
NAND,
you
which
stall-
will automatically make the 30 and the third one fine.
Fine, but then you got to
And then
stall
you have to
between these
stall
2.
those.
Right.
So yeah. So it'd be 11.
Yeah. Now we have detect and forward. Ooh, here we go, guys.
Wow.
Where do the values for the NAND instruction come from? That's a good question. Not the register file, but from the add in the next the next pipeline step.
But that only gets the 5 then from there. Where's it before?
Yeah, the mem, execute mem, ALU result, and the decode for value B. What is the CPI of this code on the MIPS 32 pipeline data path with data forwarding from lecture? All right, here we go. Putting it all together.
Do some math.
So how long does it take to complete this one? 5. This one? 6. Completes at 6. This guy?
Wait, why wouldn't the first
That
one
wouldn't take
take
longer?
7? Because you have to
Yeah.
get the 3 from the and.
Because you're able to forward. You can forward that because we have forwarding, detect and forward.
Oh.
So you're able to forward that. So that completes the end of cycle 6. This one? 7. This one? Think about it. 9. You're right because you have to stall 1 time for the date for what is it? No, you don't have to stall at all.
No, not
I
that
lied.
one.
No, so that one's still 8.
It's
But what about this one?
10.
Yeah, so that one's 10. because you have to wait for data memory to complete before you can forward. So this one's 10.
Yeah. One better than the
Oh yeah, so 10 divided by 5 is 2.
2.
And that's your CPI.
Because there's fact instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Ah. So be able to read MIPS 32 code with branches and give a CPI, stalls, contents of register, pipeline index, contents of register file, branch predictions, etc. Good. Make sure you can, how many cycles are saved? You perform speculate and squash for following code, assuming that branches are predicted to be not taken. Effects on data hazards given a correct or incorrect branch prediction. All right. Just be ready to do that. Your homework's going to let you do this as well, so you'll have some practice. Yeah, we have homework, Matt. I mean, David.
Yay.
You okay, David?
No. I think he's joking on something.
I think you broke it.
Yeah, I think he's broken.
All right, here we go. Program the following instruction breakdown. Speculate always taken and squash. 80% of branches are taken. Full forwarding, execute stage, 20% of load, stall for 1 cycle. What is the CPI? Oh, this is going to be great. I love this question.
Oh.
Terrible.
All right, who's going? Who's doing it? I even have the nice marker. I'll put it right here.
Oh, my
I
bad.
did the last one.
So what are the percentages? So are the percentages the ones of the taken?
Anyone? You sure you want to do it again, Jonah? I mean,
Sure.
it's just a board.
It's fine.
Come on, guys. We'll help you out.
I think David wants to do it.
What's the easy one of these 4?
I mean, easy one of the 4.
Mm-hmm. You're doing full
Oh,
forwarding,
we're doing.
so which ones are always going to have a CPI of 1?
R time.
Yeah, the R type, right. Alright. Sounds like you got this job.
I am totally clueless. I'm not good on.
Come on, guys.
You got it.
You just completely lost me. Where did the percentages come from?
Yeah.
I made them up.
So. Well, okay, so what are we trying to? What
We're
did-
trying to
what-
find what is the CPI of this program.
The total CPI?
And we're gonna say that we always take the branch.
Yeah, branch, always take it. Well, let's start, like I said, go up to the board. Let's start the easy ones first, okay? Always knock out the easy one here. I'm going to help you out, guys. Just don't go. Come on. I'm up there all the time.
Yeah, but you're a doctor.
Yeah.
Doctor.
You
All right,
got
John, go
doctored.
help us out, please. Thank you, John.
So, didn't we just say R type was 1?
Right, so R type is 50%, so you put 0.5 times 1.
Okay, your next R type
Sure,
right
do
over
that.
here.
Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
great. Times 1. All right, great. That was the easy one. Okay. So what are we saying? Let's look at store word and load word.
Well, we already know that if we have a store word after a load word, we're going to delay it, right?
Well, hold on. Look at what it tells you. Does it tell you actually look at the instructions? So
Mhm.
actually, let's look at store word next, because this one's going to be easy.
15%. Okay. Oh, because
Do you ever stall on store word?
no.
No. So let's go ahead and write that out. 0.15 times 1. All right. Perfect. Good. Hey, look, we're halfway there. All right. So next are the loads and the branches.
Well, it said we got 10% load or stall.
10% loads, but 20% of them stall for 1 cycle. So what is it? How many of those do not
Oh.
stall?
80%.
80%. So 80% of 10% is 0.08 times 1. Now you got to add
Okay.
plus, and there's
plus
20% of 10%, which is 0.02. And how long do those take?
Wait, of,
So hold up. Oh, no, not the
no,
long.
no.
So look at down there. It says 20% loads stall for one cycle.
Right,
So how long did those loads take to complete? How many cycles?
an extra cycle.
So that would be two. You got it. All right, guys. Y'all see what's going on here?
So it's just we're trying to figure out the time for each, Okay.
Where'd you get the 2 from?
because it added the one extra cycle, and you already have one cycle, so.
So then for the branch of 25%, you would have to take 80.
Hold on. We gotta
Hold on.
make sure the load word's clear.
Are we
So whoa, stop.
finished?
Hold on. So it says 20% of loads stall for a cycle. That means 80% of those loads don't stall and they take only one cycle. So that's the 0.08 because 80% of 10% is 8% or 0.08.
Okay.
But those other 20% stall for a cycle, which means they take one cycle to execute and another one to stall. So they take 2 cycles in
Okay.
total.
Okay.
All right, hold on. Anyone else confused by that? I always lose students with these calculations.
Okay, no,
You're
no,
just
but-
trying to make up the 10%.
Okay, well, yeah, the 10%.
So you
From
made up the
that.
10% there because you have the 8% and the 2%.
Yeah.
So we're
Okay,
done
got
with
you.
that. The only thing left we have is branches.
Oh boy.
So you predict always taken and squashed. 80% are taken. So 80% are going to have a CPI of what? One.
Why?
So what's 80% of 25%?
That was a good question.
That's a good.
20.
Yeah, 20%.
Well, or I can just go 0.25 times 0.8.
Right, or point two. We'll just do it 0.2.
Okay.
0.2 times.
Is it one cycle?
We took one cycle. All right, now we need to account for that last 5%.
Yeah, 0.05.
So go and write that up.
Wait a minute. Okay. I
Oh,
want
so
to
it's
write
a
that number.
0.05. It'd be the 0.05 times 2, right?
Well, hold on. Let's.
I want to make.
I think this is why students get confused. Write everything you know down first, and then try and figure out the rest. Because if you try and do this all in your head, it's not going to happen.
Can we go back to the very beginning? So I'm. Okay. 80% of the branch is taken, and so I got 25%. So that would be 0.8 times, our point would be 0.8 times 0.25.
Which should be 0.2.
Okay, and
Now you need to add.
one
Now you need to
cycle.
account for that other 5%. So 0.05 times. Now we need to figure out how long does that take. That means you had to squash it because you predicted incorrectly.
Wasn't that 3 times?
It was how many extra cycles?
There
Yeah,
was 3 extra cycles.
So it would be how
4.
many? 4 in total. We got it.
And it's 3 extra cycles because you had to squash it and redo it, right?
Yeah, you had to squash 3 instructions and then start again.
The fetch, the decode, and the execute.
Yep. All right. So hold on, John.
Mm-hmm.
This is very important. Don't try and do these problems in your head. It won't happen. See what I mean?
Is that my phone?
Yeah.
Oh, I saved my phone.
All right, I'll take So someone load up a calculator and do this, by the way.
I got it.
Are we adding them together?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
will multiply everything first, right? And then add it.
I always have my CI in my
84.
I actually think mine might be.
Yeah, I'm
mine
not-
might be.
You didn't have your TI before under tech.
1.17.
1.17.
What was that? 0.08.
Is that right?
Well, I got 0.12. You add the other ones, right? Is that how that works?
Yes.
Are you adding all 4 of those things up?
Yeah, well, yeah, you add all these. All right, fine, we'll do it by hand.
That's point 1.
Yeah, I got.
Point one two.
no,
One two.
0.12.
Oh yeah. Oh.
This is 0.15, and this is, let's see, 0.2
0.4.
plus 0.2, so that's 0.4, and then this is 0.5.
I got 1.17.
1.17?
Right, that could be wrong. Don't trust me.
Too late. Wait, how did you get point?
Yeah, I wouldn't trust him.
Hold on a second. Yeah, no, 0.7 at the end, that's right. And then 9,
Yeah.
10,
Yeah, that's
11. Yeah, so, you know, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You can trust me. That's okay.
Mm.
Well,
Don't
I
trust
said
them.
it first, so.
Okay,
You trust my calculations.
again, don't do this in your head.
No.
Just write it out. Do the easy ones first, so I can give you points for that, and then tackle the harder part. Okay?
You're saying like on our homework.
On your homework and on your exam.
Oh.
So,
So this will
spend
be
all your
the
time on the hard
exam.
ones.
Yes.
So
You're giving
anything
us
else.
2 exam questions.
I'm just trying to help you out.
Easy.
I'm telling you what the questions are. Okay? Right?
Dr. West has our back.
See,
Just like the
I'm-
compiler.
You just have the same
just
feelings
like
towards
the
the compiler as you
auto-grader.
do towards Dr. West, right?
Just like the auto grader.
Nah, the other.
Ah, what just happened?
What
That
was
was the
that?
that was the
that's your
screensaver.
screensaver.
Command
Can you
search
Shiva?
video
erase
for
the
word
board?
exam.
Okay.
Hey, can you
Now I'm going to talk about exceptions and interrupts because they exist, but they're annoying to deal with, so we won't do them. But keep in mind that events other than branches and jumps can change the execution flow of your instruction. You hit a key on the keyboard, the kernel has to say, whoa, wait a second, where is this key going to? Figure out which program it goes to and send it. That's done via an interrupt, which is an external event that needs the processor, or I'm sorry, that needs the processor, yep. Exception, something unexpected happen, like, I don't know, divide by 0. Oh!
Awesome.
Don't ever do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
blasphemy?
It is blasphemy. So an event has to come in. They have to have a special piece of hardware that stops the processor. Basically, squashes the pipeline and goes forward. So, well, what do we do with the ALU overflow? Flush the pipeline after the exception and then handle the exception. With pipelines, as you have multiple instructions, it gets harder. That's all you really need to know. Early exceptions. If your branch was wrong, you're fetching down the wrong path, but then you find out you mispredicted your branch, you may have to make sure you don't throw an exception unless you know it's an exception. Memory exceptions can happen as well. Again, just squash.
Squash.
We
Squash
like
it all.
squash.
Just throw it.
You can also have bus errors. The hardware failed. May or may not be fixable.
Never happens.
What about simultaneous exceptions? Ooh, this is a good one. What if you divide by 0 the same time you execute a bad operation?
That is the
Your
priority-
computer
it's a
will
priority of the
explode.
exception.
You what?
It's a priority of the exception.
Yeah, you assign priority to an exception.
Everything breaks.
So basically, your computer closed.
There's something called super pipelining, where you have more than 5 stages.
Super pipelining.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da.
Da-da-da. Super pipeline.
It allows you to increase your clock frequency, so cycle time goes down. But I'll try and pronounce this correctly. Super pipelining exacerbates the problems caused by hazards. Oh, I almost had it perfect.
That what we discussed before when we took we split the.
Yeah, you split it up
more
even more.
segments.
Yep.
So then you have to deal with
More
the
like
hazards
multiple
more.
cycles.
And then, yeah, data forwarding is even more annoying, isn't it? Yeah.
Sadness.
You might have extra ones in the front end, the middle, or the back end. Sadness occurs. Superscalar.
Oh god. What
If
the
you-
supers?
Superscalar.
Well, if you have multiple pipelines, then it's superscalar. It's more than just scalar, aka it's more than just one pipeline. It's superscalar.
Yes, it's been missing.
Super.
Super.
Super Koopa.
All right, are we done? We're
Yes.
Yay.
done. We're done.